Now, here on the evening edition, it is 8:37. Youth Demand protesters today attempted to paste a picture of a Gazan mother and child over a Picasso painting in the National Gallery. The campaign group, which is calling for an arms embargo on Israel and for the government to halt all new oil and gas licences, has said direct action is the only way to move us towards proper justice. Are they right? Well, I'm joined by Hala Sabbah now, who is a member of Youth Demand. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
And Estelle Lovatt, who is an art historian. Good evening, Estelle.
Hello there.
Hala, put your point forward. The thought of defacing a work of art, to many, is just distracting. It's the wrong type of activism if you're looking to get your message out there. It just ends up upsetting people.
Thank you, Kate. I think what's currently upsetting right now is that there's a genocide taking place with almost 100,000 people being killed. There were many ways to convey our message. We've exhausted every single way. I'm Palestinian and I'm from Gaza, and for 76 years we have been speaking up. So art is a form of resistance, and we all know that. So I don't see how this would be upsetting. If a painting is more upsetting than the death of tens of thousands of people in front of our eyes in the most documented genocide in history, then I think that's what should be upsetting right now.
I think many people will agree that it's upsetting what is happening in Gaza. It's just whether a painting, a work of art, a work by Picasso should be the one to kind of take the hit. Are there not better ways to get that message out there? I think people understand the message, but they don't understand the method.
Of course, I completely understand that. I'm going to read a quote to you from Picasso. Picasso said, "Painting is not done to decorate apartments. It is an instrument of war for attack and defense against the enemy." So I actually think Picasso himself would be rolling in his grave right now because people are upset about a painting rather than about a genocide. So I do think this method is working because here I am on the radio talking to you and bringing more awareness about what's happening in Gaza.
Estelle Lovatt, over to you. Should art be used in this way? Would Picasso have wanted this, bearing in mind the quote that we've just heard, and it's an instrument of war?
Well, Picasso had a huge ego, and I think he'd be horrified that someone would try and deface one of his masterpieces. But, I'm trying to understand what it is that they wanted to achieve and what it is that they have achieved. People know what's going on in that part of the world. It is an awful situation on all fronts. I can't see the connection between that and attacking a work of art. When you think that a work of art is something, as Picasso said, so prized, so ingenious, creative. It's about civilization. It's about our shared history, our different cultures. It's magnificence and beauty all in one. It's a precious commodity. So to attack it just to become part of a news conversation, I can't see it being related to anything good other than the connection that it has to ISIS when ISIS destroy works of art.
That's a really good point, Estelle. So let's delve deep into that a little bit. One of the oldest churches in the world was based in Gaza. Guess what happened to that church? It got bombed. Let me finish. You had your moment. Let me speak. Okay. So one of the oldest churches in Gaza got bombed into pieces, and I don't see outrage here in the West. I don't see outrage in Europe. I don't see outrage in London. In Beirut, 2,000 people have been killed in Beirut over the last week, and they've been bombing near one of the most important churches in the world. Do we see outrage? No, we don't. So to be honest, when we go and we post something on glass that was removed within 2 seconds, and that is causing you so much outrage, more than churches, more than the place of the birth of Christ in Palestine, where we have history and art that's thousands of years old, and you have not spoken up about that. Have you, Estelle? Have you done any public conversations about the art that's being demolished in Palestine right now or in Lebanon? Have you done that?
Is that your question to me?
Yes, that is my question to you. Have you gone and wrote papers and spoken publicly about that? Have you?
So we're talking about, as far as I can gather, we're talking about whether or not attacking, protesting, throwing paint on the floor, sticking posters up over priceless works of art is the way forward. And I know, if you think about how Mary Richardson, the suffragette, when also at the National Gallery, when she slashed through Rokeby Venus by Velasquez, how art can have an effect on us. I don't think that we're here talking about what happened with the churches, unless I'm wrong.
Why not? Why can't we speak about that?
Well, we can speak about it, but what we're talking here about here is whether art in this country should be defaced to get this message across.
Okay, I have a question to both of you. As a Palestinian from Gaza who has had multiple members of her family killed, who only 2 days ago, a journalist that we were in touch with, who's 19 years old, a quadcopter walked into his room and burst him into a million pieces, and his family had to sit and get all these million pieces into a bag. Only today, in the north, in northern Gaza, we have had 3 journalists attacked. Fadi al-Wahidi got shot in his neck, is now under siege, and may potentially be paralyzed for life if he doesn't leave in the next few hours, which we all know he won't. Mohammed al-Tantini also got killed. We have another journalist in the south yesterday. So within 3 days, we have 6 journalists who are either dead, blown into pieces, or on the verge of death. So for me, the fact that we are here speaking about this, give me a solution, ladies. Give me a solution as a Palestinian and as a Palestinian from Gaza. Give me a solution on how to deliver the message other than civil resistance. Because we have done everything. We have done peaceful marches. Let me just finish my point. We have done peaceful marches. We have written to Parliament. We have gone up and spoken up. We have done every single thing possible. And here we are in the UK, the country that sells weapons to a place where over 16,000 children have been killed, to a place with the highest number of children amputees in the world, to the place that killed more children in 1 year than children in all over the world in conflict and war over the last 5 years. So I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you how else I could have gotten on this radio with you, how else I could have conveyed my message.
Well, I think you're assuming that it has won you awareness and more fans, that it hasn't turned people off your message because they don't agree with the way that you're enacting it. And part of the reason why this painting was defaced was because you would like the government to halt all new oil and gas licenses. What's that got to do with Gaza?
Great, that's a really good question, Kate. Both of them cause deaths. Okay, there's a lot of intersectionality on how the environment and what's happening in Gaza.
But you've talked about Palestinian journalists who, rightly, you have put that point forward across on the radio, but it becomes really hard when you're then saying, well, the painting has been defaced because we want a complete arms embargo from the UK to Israel, but we also don't want any new oil and gas licenses. You're sort of muddying the message here. And
no, it's not. It's not muddying the message.
People might think it's confusing. Estelle, come in on this with some thoughts.
Yeah, I'm just from the art gallery and the work of art. Doing something like this in galleries, which is a public space, I find and I feel that we just feel aggravated and irritated, and not so much shocked even, because it's now sort of quite a regular occurrence. But because art is a sacred language in world's culture, to desecrate it almost feels offensively sacrilegious. Why attack what is sacred to people? People are not stupid, but it makes us think that we're dealing with Philistines over their actions now of attacking art in galleries?
Yeah, so it depends whether you think it's winning you more fans, whether you are raising awareness and people are coming round to your wanting to raise awareness, which I don't think anyone is objecting to the fact that these stories need to be out there, and that, you know, many people I know have been on pro-Palestinian marches. They are doing all they can, as we do on this programme, to try and be, you know, level and equal in our reporting, to make sure that we keep talking about what is happening in Gaza and in Lebanon, as well as the Israeli side of it as well. We're all, you know, trying our best here, but it depends whether art is the right medium, and actually whether it kind of loses you respect in your decent campaign here to get the message out. Does it actually lose you friends?
Yeah, and I think it's a really good point. And I think for us in the global South, maybe it's different for you here in the West. Art is revolutionary. Art is resistance. And today they were putting an image of a mother and her child crying. That's an art. What civil resistance is a form of art. And every single artist who's a true artist would agree with this. So for me, when we start to use words like agitated and irritated because of a public space and art, when the country you're in and the taxes that you are paying from are contributing to, I don't understand how, when I'm talking about 16,000 children dying, when I'm telling you my own relatives have died and been killed and blown into pieces, when I have just explained to you that there were 5 journalists killed within the last 48 hours.
All of which we completely take on board.
Let me follow my point. When we talk about all of these different things, and then the conversation comes back to a painting, when the conversation comes back to the importance of public space, when the conversation comes back to a image put up in a museum, where a lot of the images put up in museums are actually stolen from the global South, then what is this? Art is a sacred language. We need to think about this. We need to think about celebrating art, which is resistance, like Banksy, like real art.
All right, look, we need to leave it there. There's lots more I'm sure that both of you want to say, but we are sadly out of time. It's been really interesting to hear from both of you. Hala Sabbah, thank you, a member of Youth Demand, and Estelle Lovatt, the art historian. Thank you very much for being with us. It's Kait Borsay. It's the evening edition here on Times Radio. When we come back, we'll take a peek inside tomorrow's paper.